Food and weight obsession can be exhausting. Losing weight, gaining weight, dieting, feeling like a failure because you missed a workout, binged, overate, or gained all the weight back. The cycle is endless and it can be maddening. But I'm here to say you can stop the mental madness. You can take back control of your food behaviors, but you have to face your fears, you have to ask for help, and make a change. I am Leslie Thornton, permanent weight loss coach from hpwl.co. This is hypnosis for permanent weight loss, and I know you can make this happen. On this podcast, you will hear how to stop the mental madness, love your body, trust your food decisions so you can create a life of happiness, freedom, and inner peace. Why can't I stop emotionally? Why can't I stay consistent with my eating? Why can't I stay motivated? I know all the right things to do, but no matter what I do, I always fail. I always end up saying, forget it. Might as well just eat. I already messed up what my day's eating was. And so here I am again, back in the diet hamster wheel. Raise your hand if this has ever or does ever sound like yourself. I'm Leslie Thornton, hypnosis for permanent weight loss. Welcome to my podcast. If you're new, I love new listeners. We have hundreds of episodes on here. I've been helping people since 2015, getting free emotionally around food, body, and weight. And everything that I teach my clients is how I was able to get free myself. And the journey is not easy, but simpler than you think. And definitely worth the effort if what you want is no longer a short-term solution, but a life transformation that includes you having a peaceful, neutral, easy relationship with food, with your body, and with your weight. So, and for those of you who are longtime listeners, hello, I'm so thankful for you. I wouldn't have a purpose if it wasn't for you listening. If you have not rated and reviewed this podcast, it would literally burst my seams so full if you could just take a moment and leave a rating and review. And yeah, it just makes it all worth it for me. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to take that action. It really makes a difference for not only me, but also other people who are looking for a way out of this, and and for them to get that validation that this podcast has been helpful, and any other feedback you want to leave. So thank you so much. This podcast today is inspired. So it's called How Do I Stop Emotionally Eating, by a private client that I had this morning who actually hired me to help with nail biting. So occasionally I'll work with private clients on things other than food, body, and weight. And this person is in that category. And what I was teaching and talking to him about today during his session, I knew would be valuable to my listeners. So I'm excited to share that with you. When we have any type of attachment, any type of addiction, any type of bad habit, whatever word you want to use for it. The reason that we stay stuck is because you are labeling whatever habit that you do as bad and wrong, maybe even demonize it. So, as an example, anytime that you eat a larger portion of something, or you have a long eating spell and you're overeating a lot, maybe you even call it a binge, that activity, you immediately obviously feel bad that you're doing it, and then you add it to be evidence of the fact that you're a food addict, that you are an emotional eater, that you can't stop eating. You add it to a label on yourself that something is wrong with you. You add it to a label that you have or identity that you have for yourself that you have no self-control. Something like that. So if you need to take a moment to check in with yourself and ask yourself, like, what do I believe about my behavior? So because I do X, this means that I have no control. Because I do Y, that means that I'm a food addict. Because I have gained weight and lost weight so many times, that means I am a failure. Because I have gained all my weight back after losing it all, that means that I can't stay consistent and I'm a failure. Something's wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm an addict. Fill in the blank. Now, you may be so conscious of what this is for yourself, and you may be completely unconscious to this. And if you don't know that you say those types of things to yourself, what you can do is find out the match of that energy in your body and identify if you were to put words that had the same vibration as that negative feeling in your body when you're doing that bad habit or activity. Put words to it, and that will give you your answer to this. Now, as an example, when I believed that I was a sugar addict and a food addict, and I had the science to prove it, and I had the behavior to back it up, once I started to believe that I was a food addict, sugar addict, I started gathering evidence for all of the times that once I started eating sugar, I could not stop. And then what happened was it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I had all the evidence to show I was a sugar addict. I could show anybody how out of control I was. I had to put a lock on a cabinet to not eat sweets, and then I broke into the cabinet and I ate all the sweets. Like, that is addictive behavior. Tell me that it's not. Tell me that's not a problem. But the point is that it only became a problem once I took on this belief that who I was, part of my identity, was a food addict or a sugar addict. So what is the identity that you have for yourself? I'm out of control. I am not safe to have certain foods in the house. I can't stay consistent. I can't stay motivated. Fill in the blank. Okay. So, different example from today with this client who came to me for nail biting. With the example of nail biting, okay, every time that this person would bite their nails, they would continue to add evidence to the fact that they had a big problem with nail biting. It was embarrassing, right? It was, a source of great anxiety, right? And so for my food, body, and weight clients, you're overeating, you're binging, you're sneak eating or hiding wrappers or any of the stuff that goes on, upset when you're in a bathing suit or you're shame, creates that same type of experience. But then you take every single time that any of those behaviors happen and you add it to the identity that you have of yourself of, in this case, for this client, nail biting, for your case, food addict, whatever it is. And what that does is it completely debilitates your ability to detach, okay? And therefore experience freedom. So I don't know a lot about Buddhism, but I have friends who are very heavily into Buddhism. And what I do know is that a large Buddhist principle is about how the answer for enlightenment is ultimate detachment, of letting go of all attachments to identity, to your body, to other people, to money, to everything. Just detach, detach, detach. And regardless of any belief systems, there's so much to say just on an energetic life happiness scale of what happens when you do detach from anything that you're clinging to, including clinging to a number on the scale, clinging to a certain pant size that you want to get back into. Anything that you're clinging on to creates suffering. Now consider that this label that you put on yourself, this identity of food addict, sugar addict, or nail biting, you name it, that is the barrier. Okay? That is something that you are also so attached to. Like, I'm so attached to that identity of myself, that belief of myself being true. Okay? And the thing about that is our unconscious mind's job is to keep us safe. So consider that whenever you started to take on the belief that I am a food addict, sugar addict, can't control myself, procrastinator, whatever it is, there was safety in that label. There was safety in that identity. So when I found the science to show me that I was a sugar addict and food addict, there was a safety in actually saying out loud, this is who I am, and therefore this is what I can and cannot do. It made it easier to have a blueprint of just black and white thinking that would keep me structured and safe and help me get skinny. Okay? Amazing. And when it comes to transformation, freedom, and being able to live a life in full color, hanging on to any identity like that or any concept like that of yourself or etc., anything, will inhibit your ability to grow. I had a coach in the past that was talking about in life, you can either choose control or you can choose growth. So when I believed I was a food addict, you bet your bananas that I was in control. Why? Because I was terrified, given the science that I learned about food addiction, about what would happen if I lost control. So, and that was why I thought I found the solution. I thought I found the answer to my lifetime of being up and down with my weight and being miserable when my weight was up and super elated and confident when my weight was down. Buying into the belief that I was a food addict gave me safety, but it was temporary because there's nowhere to grow from the space of attachment, of control that belief system provided for me. Now, did that belief system provide a service for me that taught me lessons in ways? Yes. I really believe that all of us are aligned for certain things at certain times, and I believe that I needed to experience those lessons at those times to become who I am now and to also support everybody who I support now as well, who have come from Food Addicts Anonymous or Overeaters Anonymous, have any of that in their background, or severe anorexia or bulimia. I can now really serve those people, and I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't go through that program and learn everything that I learned. So there's definitely good parts about that. And I'm a firm believer that whatever resonates with you, like, trust that and go for it. And if you've never heard my episode on how this food program really messed me up and my warning about this type of program, Food Addicts Anonymous or any derivative, Bright Line Eating was what I used to follow. Might want to go back and check it out. I don't know the exact episode. Probably like 150-ish. You know, my job, I also want to educate for people to know, because if I could look back now, I would know that the reason why I wasn't able to stay consistent with my food, body, and weight was because my emotions were out of whack and my thinking was out of whack. My mindset about eating was out of whack. My inner experience was out of whack. It was not because I was scientifically broken in the head. But I believed that, but I think I know there's a lot of detriment that can happen when you take on a belief about being fundamentally broken and the impact it has and the debilitation it has on your life. Now, we're talking that kind of extreme, but consider that whatever identity you have of yourself could be almost that extreme, or that extreme because of what is on the other side of you letting go of that attachment to that identity or that limiting belief that you have about yourself, limiting decision you have about yourself. That once you let go of that, now you can experience true freedom, living life in full color. You can have other goals. You can have more fulfilling relationships. You can have more inner peace. You name it. Like, life gets extraordinary outside of these attachments, these labels, these identities that you keep clinging on to and saying that they are you, and therefore holding yourself down, holding yourself back, because it's safer to think something negative about you, at least it feels that way to your unconscious mind, than it is to actually get that you are absolutely whole and complete, that there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. However you are is incredible, and allows you to start going into, rather than a fixed mindset of I'm a emotional eater, I'm a food addict, I can't control myself. That's a fixed mindset. I'm a food addict was a fixed mindset. There's nowhere you can go from that. It's black and white thinking, and perfectionism will come from being so fixed on your mindset versus the growth mindset. Okay, so the growth mindset of being like, I'm whole and complete, there's nothing wrong with me, and I'm a human. I accept the fact that I'm a human. I accept the fact that I make mistakes. I accept that part of being a human means having emotions go through me and having to experience pain and all emotion, negative emotion and positive emotion. And if I just look at that, if I look at how I can improve my mental and emotional worlds inside, do I believe that I could better handle and learn from situations and just grow and get better every single day? Age like a fine wine, if you will. And you get to choose. The same way my coach said, you can choose control or you can choose growth. Like, you get to choose. If it's too confronting to think about letting go of your label, I know for myself, when I was believing I was a food addict and a sugar addict, there was nobody who could tell me that I wasn't that. And I didn't even know, it was an immediate no, that was not for me to think outside of it, because there's a lot of fear and danger associated with believing that your brain was broken, which they nailed into you to say that my brain is broken. And so therefore I need to do things differently. That is very disempowering. Tiny little piece on this, I've talked about this before. For someone who is an alcoholic, drug addict, they need those types of things. They need to actually have that level of take down the notches in order to gain sobriety. But for food, body, and weight people, we need the opposite. We need empowerment. We need self-trust. We need, those two things. I can't think of other ones right now. I'm sure there's more, but empowerment and self-trust. We need to feel positive energy. We need to be shown that we can trust ourselves. So that's why that format doesn't work here. Okay. We need food to live. Alcohol and drugs, you can have one sip or one drug and you can drop dead or kill someone else. With food, it's not the case. Unless you're allergic to something and have anaphylactic shock, which nobody's gonna, anyway, I digress. So you get to choose. Do I want to choose control or do I want to choose growth? And if you're in a space where whatever you are believing about yourself, you really are clinging on to and you feel scared about letting go of it and thinking about like going into a space of more intuitive eating or more allowing all foods, more living life in full color as a result of you saying yes to what you actually want, what brings you joy in your life or whatever, that's okay. Like, just don't just go and surround yourself with people in that space, and then come back to this if you get to a space where this is resonating more. Your journey is your journey, and I believe in divine timing for people for when different things resonate at different times. Okay, so but say that you're like, no, Leslie, I want to break out of this. I want to live life in full color. Okay, I want to master the growth mindset instead of black and white perfectionistic thinking that is keeping me stuck with this up and down and the emotional roller coaster that all of this brings about. Awesome. You're in the right place. It can be done. And so I'll share with you what I shared with my client today and share with all my clients, around just attachment in general. Rather than continuing to find evidence for how that identity that you have that's negative about yourself is true, take your behavior or habit. So say it's emotional eating. For this person who was nail biting, he also was doing procrastination. And don't label it as this is showing that this is the way that it is for me, but rather take each individual instance of your habit that you don't like and treat it as being completely different from any of the other times you've done that same thing. Okay, so for example, when my client came back this week after I gave him that for the nail biting, he got to see, oh, I'm biting my nails. Okay, instead of me saying this is a problem, I need to fix it, I have a nail biting problem, I'm going to look back and say, what am I feeling right now? What am I thinking right now? What do I think has caused this? Oh, it's because I feel like inactive and like I'm not being productive. And then he did a little self-coaching of being like, yeah, we're not working right now. It's okay to relax a little bit, and it's safe to just do nothing and to sit here. And then he was able to not be so attached to that habit. And then so same thing that I do with my weight loss clients. It's like, okay, the emotional eating happens. All right. Rather than just saying, see, I can't control myself. See, I am a food addict. Say, wait a second, this specific eating spell, what happened? What am I thinking? Right? And then we give you all the tools in the program for how to change your thinking around and how to move your emotions through your body so that you can get past the human emotionality and you can feel that freedom. And then from there, you have choices. You can either choose to keep eating or you can choose to do something different. But the level of freedom that is to have choice is gigantic. Versus when you're in a fixed mindset and just continuing to say, see, this is the problem. There's nowhere to move with that. There's no choices in that. You just get stuck, you get mad at yourself, and then you stay stuck in the vicious cycle. So this is how we can actually support you in getting out of it. Now, we never know how long it takes to let go of an attachment. My nail biting client, right, signed up for a couple months of working together, and he's experienced a lot of new freedom around the habit of nail biting. And he still bites his nails. Yeah, so I'm so clear with people about the fact that, like, we don't know how long it's going to take. What we want to do is really celebrate all the progress because it's going to motivate us to keep going, to keep becoming aware, to get excited about the growth process, which is never ending, by the way. And we only want to compare to how we were last week. So it's a known actual like effective motivation strategy that you only compare to your past self. You don't compare to others. You don't compare to how long you think it should take. You're comparing it to your past self, celebrating the crap of the awarenesses that you've had so far and the progress that you've made, and then continue to be just wanting to show up but being not attached to when that problem is going to go away. There was a podcast that I heard that was talking about with any addictive habit that we kind of have, that first of all, there's so much compassion for it being there, just having compassion for the fact that you emotionally eat, recognizing that you're doing it because your body's job, your unconscious mind's job is to keep you safe, and it thinks that eating is keeping you safe, and it does to a certain extent because food does help you soothe yourself. And when you identify this as being a problem that's worthy of actually taking action on and healing past and through, well, then it's fun because, and this is what I was saying to my client today, is like you can see your bad habit as being your window of awareness into your inner world and of who you actually are, like who your soul actually is, who you are on your way to become, or remembering who you actually are. Like this is your addiction, your bad habit is actually you're like tap, tap, tap. This is your opportunity to learn, to grow, to expand, to become. And it's like, so then it's like you're falling in love with the process. So then it's like, I don't care how long it takes. As long as I know that I'm progressing and my life is getting better and I'm getting happier and my habits are getting better, then who cares how long this takes? Because guess what? Even when your emotional eating goes away, even when you've healed this process, there'll be something else. There'll be the next chapter that will still be knocking and inviting you to go inside and to heal that. Right? I've shared on previous podcasts that first I got peace around food, body, weight, and then finances was the next tap, tap, tap that invited me to get to go inside and heal these aspects as well. So there's no race. There's no need to get there. I understand the panic and the fear that comes up when you get negative feedback about your body, whether it's on the scale or at the doctor's office or bathing suit season, and you're, not happy with the way that you look in the mirror or, photograph. I get that. And moving through the panic about that stuff so that you don't just keep getting looped back into that cycle that you know all too well, and actually are able to grow past it so that your body and your eating habits and your lifestyle all just gets to be balanced, and you stop that process again. And again, just that invitation of like, fall in love with the process. It's about getting healthier and better every day. It's not about just the end goal being perfect. And we have absolutely no idea when the end goal is going to happen or if it's ever going to happen. We're not God. We're not source. We don't know what's going to happen in life. But we can know what feels true to us in the moment. We can learn the difference between an emotional fear-based reaction and a true soul's desire. And once you're actually able to be present to that through the HEAL method, the hypnosis, the emotional mastery, and now we can get to aligned authentic action, and you can actually feel what's true for you. And then you take action on those things. Whew, again, that is where life, happiness, freedom, inner peace lives. And it's also where you just become your healthiest self. Because when you surround your environment with peaceful, good energy and feelings, all good things come. Whatever is meant for you to manifest or attract into your life, or that is meant for you, it cannot come when you're in a state of negative anxiety, fear, worry, guilt, hurt, shame. So let food be your best friend. Let it be a companion of yours to keep showing you how you're doing, and if there's still more places that you get to work on, rather than your enemy, rather than this terrible thing that you have to deal with, but something that really just is so committed to you actually learning and healing and getting free. So hope this message has been helpful, and we'll see you for the next episode. If you are serious about taking action on your struggle with food, body, and weight, then this is for you. Go ahead and text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483. Immediately after texting that number, you will get access to our free training that will tell you why you can't figure the food, body, and weight thing out, why you can't keep weight off even after you've been successful in the past, and how to actually overcome it, including a mini hypnosis session at the end. Don't miss out. Text the word hypnosis to 855-BE-ALIVE. That's 855-232-5483.